Okay, guys, it's Mrs. Mann, and we have been working on inequalities for quite a long time now. So if you are watching this video, I really want you to watch the entire video, really listen, look to see what you did, try to figure out what is going wrong because we've really got to move on from this concept, okay? All right, so the first thing that we do when we're solving is we're going to draw our river. And then we look at the side that has the variable. So we are looking on this side and we're asking ourselves, how do I get the k to be by itself? Well, we need to get rid of this division by negative zero point zero 0.03. How do we get rid of division? We multiply. So we're going to multiply by the number that we're trying to get rid of, negative 0.03. And of course, whatever we do on one side, we have to do on the other side. And the reason why I'm writing one of these kind of like this and the other one vertically is just because this reminds you of why it works. This is essentially a fraction. And if we have the same number on the bottom multiplied by the same number on the top, they cancel out. Now coming over here, we would want to write it vertically because we actually need to do the math. So 8 times 3 is 4. We carry the 2. 1 times 3 is 3 plus 2 is 5. And then we don't need to keep going because the next number that we would multiply by is 0. So at this point, all we've got to do is figure out where does my decimal go. And the way that we know that is we count the number of digits that are behind the decimal in the problem itself. Well, 18 doesn't have any numbers behind the decimal, but the 0.03 has 2. So we need to have 2 numbers behind the decimal, which means my decimal needs to go here. And then I ask myself, what happens when I have a positive multiplied by a negative? Well, they're different signs, so my answer is negative. Okay, now I have k over here. So you should on your paper have a k on one side and a negative 54 hundredths on the other. We can go ahead and put in negative 54 hundredths. Like this would be negative 53 hundredths. This would be negative 55 hundredths right here. I'm kind of writing a little bit too big. The big question now is, I know it's an open dot, but which way does my arrow point? Well, we've got to remember this symbol and what happens. When we multiply both sides or divide both sides by a negative, our symbol has to flip, and it flips right here. And so we now have k is greater than, which means my arrow is going to point in this direction. It's going to point just like the symbol does, and it's going to point like this. So that should have been your graph. We come over here to the check and we pick any number that's on the arrow. We don't want to pick the dot, and we certainly don't want to pick anything over here. So I'm going to pick something easy because if I have to divide by 300ths or negative 300ths, I want to do something that I don't really have to work at. So this is eventually negatives. It's going to eventually hit 0 way down here somewhere and keep on going. So I'm going to put in 0. Okay, this arrow shows you that you just bring on 18 down. And now I do the work, but the nice thing is when I do the work, it's 0 divided by something. I don't care what that is. 0 divided by anything is 0. Okay, and then my sign does not switch because I have not multiplied both sides by negative. And I just bring this back to boy down here. And now 0 is less than 18. I ask myself, is that true? Well, yeah, it is. And so I know that I'm right.